Hi, welcome to Total Dialysis. My name is Clancy Mamu. I am the creator of this channel, and if you're here on this particular video, it's because you are considering home dialysis or your doctors asked you to check it out, and here we are. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to talk about home dialysis from a patient's perspective, and just kind of address some of the concerns that you have, because I personally believe that home dialysis is the best treatment available next to a kidney transplant. Now, I could be being biased about it, but you know, I am a father of 3. I have a wife. I also have a job, and I am trying to make my life work, and I needed the extra time, which was the main reason why I went on to home dialysis. But once I got started, I understood that the benefits of it was so much more than just getting extra time to be able to do the things that I want. So let's go over that in this video, all right? The first thing is, it looks like a lot. Now, initially, when you're sitting in that chair and that dialysis technician is putting you on the machine, all you see is that box. You see all those buttons on the screen that the dialysis tech pushes, and you see all those tubes, and on the appearance on the outside, dialysis, the process of it itself can look overwhelming, and I absolutely understand that. It does look overwhelming, but the truth is that the dialysis process is one of the most straightforward things there are. All right, you have your tubes, your red tube that pulls the blood out of your body. It puts it inside the cycler, and the cycler takes the fluid off. The blue tube returns it back into your body, and the only thing that you're putting into the machine is how much you weigh and how much fluid you're going to take off, and the rate at which that fluid gets taken off, which is very simple. It's not something that you have to calculate. They give you a sheet and a guide as to how you do it. So when I get ready to get on the machine, the only thing that I do is I weigh myself, and then I subtract it from how much my dry weight is. I put that number into the dialysis machine, and then I look at that number and I go to my book, and that book tells me what rate to put it on according to that number that I'm taking off, and then I put the rate in, and the dialysis machine does the rest. So the buttons are very straightforward. It's a very straightforward process. I would encourage you that while it looks like a lot, it only seems like a lot because you're sitting on the outside of the process. But I encourage you to get in it, and especially with home dialysis, you will have a nurse that will walk you step by step, and she has no problem being patient and understanding, because she understands what is at stake and that you are new, you know. And so the biggest hurdle that I always talk to people about whenever we talk about home dialysis is that wall that seems so tall but is so thin, is the wall of yourself. And you have to figure out how to get past your own mental doubts about undertaking the process of learning home dialysis, because once you get there and they have you put those gloves on for the first time, she walks you through day 1, through day 2, through day 3, and the secret to learning anything is repetition. And you will have 4 weeks at minimum to learn the entire process of home dialysis. But you cannot be afraid to get your hands in there and to find out and to ask questions. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. The process itself is very simple. I do it 4 days a week, 3 hours a day. I set up and I put myself on with my wife's help. She takes me off, and that's it. It's a very, very, very easy process. And if you don't believe me, I have videos on here on the playlist about how it is to set your dialysis machine up and to put yourself on and take yourself off. So be sure to check those out. That list will be updated soon, but be sure to check out the videos that are there. All right. The other thing about home dialysis, it's convenient and it is flexible. And that was one of the biggest things that I ended up getting on dialysis for. My life, as I said, I work, and so I'm a substitute for a school district. And when I started subbing, I was doing clinical dialysis, and I had to do the clinical dialysis 3 days a week. And my paycheck was like, you need more money, brother. So my doctor had been encouraging home dialysis for a while. My wife was like, you should look into it, but I was very reluctant until my check came in and was like, you need more, you need home dialysis. So I set aside the 4 weeks, because that's about how much, that's the minimum of what it will take. And I got on it, and then once I finished my training and I started at home, I was able to work nearly every day. And after work, I came home, I set my machine up, I got on, and I ate dinner, and I watched TV, and I spent time with my family. And then I got off the machine, my kids went to bed, and I went to bed, and that was it. And so it's that part of the time constraint being lifted, because when you're on clinical, when you go to a clinic for dialysis, then you have to be there 3 days a week. You have to be there at a certain time, which is usually going to be during the middle of the day. And there is no job that lets you work full time while going to a dialysis clinic at the same time, unless you work for yourself, and most of us don't. Most of us work for somebody. So the time flexibility was the biggest thing. This other thing is that, the machine is portable. It's a little bigger, it's a little smaller, than a laundry basket. It's a little smaller than a laundry basket. You can stick it in the back of your car and put your dialysate bags in the back of the car. And if you're gonna go somewhere for a while, like a hotel trip or something out of state, you take your machine to your room with you, you hang your bags up, you do it right there in bed, and then you take it down. You don't have to go to no clinic. You don't have to do any of that. And so the flexibility of it is nice. If there's a hurricane and you have to get out of town for a while, it works wonders. It works wonders. So those are some very huge points that makes home dialysis a better choice for a lifestyle of dialysis. I would definitely consider that. Let me look at my next group here. Comfort and familiarity. All right. So, like I said, doing dialysis at home, I was able to eat dinner. I was able to play my PlayStation. I was able to watch my movies. If my wife needed me to talk to my kids, I was able to call them in a room. And I even got my kids involved with my dialysis process, because this was something that was happening in their lives. They need to be aware of what was happening. And so you get to be a lot more comfortable in your own space than you are in the clinic, where it's cold, and you might be struggling with some of your relationships at the clinic, or you might not be able to eat the way that you want to, which you shouldn't eat a full meal while you're doing dialysis, but you're able to snack, or to take a bite of something here and there just to keep your stomach full. The other thing that is also beautiful about dialysis is that when you take responsibility for your own health care, that you don't have to wonder whether somebody is doing good by you or not, whether they're treating you right or not, because you are sticking yourself. You are choosing the amount of fluid to take off. You are being responsible for your own well-being. And that is generally such a better feeling, knowing that, you don't have to worry about anything, knowing that you are alive and that you are taking care of yourself. It brings us a sense of accomplishment. And it's I think it's important for our mentalities, for our mental state, to know that we are still capable in a world where our life is trying to tell us that you're not capable, because they will label you disabled because you don't have any kidneys. And so it's important to take your dignity where you can. And I truly believe in that. So that's another thing about, doing it at home. It's supposed to be talking about flexibility. I guess I feel like I covered all that. You're able to do where you want to. You're able to enjoy the comforts of home instead of a cold clinic. You're able to take care of yourself when it's time for you to stick yourself. It's another barrier you have to get over, but once you do, it's so much better than somebody sticking you and you're having to take a deep breath and worry about that. Let me see what else I got here. Time saving, which is absolutely true. It works with your time. Not only that, but then you got to drive to the clinic to get on. And then once you get to the clinic, sometimes you got to sit down in the lobby and wait. You have another patient that's in your chair. They got there late, and now you're having to pay the consequence for them being late. You have to wait longer to get on your chair, and then you get off later, and then it'll be nighttime, and you're trying to get home, and it's a time suck, when you're working around the clinic. And I'm not putting clinics down, thank God for them, because there are some people who cannot do home dialysis. All right, but when you have a family and you're trying to live your life and everything, it's very difficult to be on the clinic's time. Next thing is better health outcomes. There is no amount of words that I can speak to this right here. When you're on dialysis, you have to take account of the fact that this machine is doing something 12 hours a week that your body used to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 168 hours. Your body is literally trading 168 hours of work for 12 hours of artificial work. All right. And when I used to get off that machine, when I was doing clinical dialysis, I would be so weak and exhausted. It felt like I ran a marathon while just laying down. It's the equivalent to filling a sponge up with water, and then all of a sudden you squeeze that sponge as hard as you can, and that crumpled look that a sponge has when you squeeze it dry, it's exactly how you feel when you get off of dialysis. All right. Now, at home dialysis, first of all, they don't let you take that much off at home dialysis. One, because you're doing it, instead of doing it 3 days a week, you're either doing it 4 or 5 days a week, which gives you a more flexible fluid intake diet. And that is, I can't say how invaluable that is, because when I get off the machine, I still have a 3-year-old. I have a 9-year-old, and I got an 11-year-old boy sometimes who likes to grab his dad and try to wrestle with him. All right, and I have to be ready for that, because I'm not going to let my 11-year-old boy just show me up, right? So, that in itself is one of the it's one of my favorite reasons for home dialysis. is that I don't get off and I don't just feel as weak. Now, don't be mistaken, you will still feel something. You can't substitute 12 hours of kidney function for 168 hours and expect to be absolutely a-okay. That's not how that's going to work. But the impact, not the impact, the weight of the effect of that process is not as heavy when you're on home dialysis, because you're doing it more often than you would a clinical dialysis session, and that makes all the difference. Now your dietary, your day-to-day eating doesn't change from your clinical to your home dialysis. That's pretty much still going to be the same, because our kidneys aren't there to distribute the food the way it's supposed to. But the fluid part is such a nice break, it doesn't mean that you can drink as much as you want to. It just means you have a little more freedom, a little more liberty with drinking more fluid, as opposed to the restriction of a 3-day clinical diet. Okay. Your labs tend to be better because you're getting more cleaning experience, so your blood tends to stay cleaner. That's always nice, because getting labs checked is like a parent coming to check your bedroom. It's not always a fun feeling. Let's see. Greater independence. Right, again, so taking responsibility of your entire dialysis treatment allows you to do more things, all right? You don't have to report back to the clinic. 4 to 5 of your hours of your day, it doesn't go to a clinic. It goes to you, all right? And when you are taking responsibility for your own stuff, just like your bills, just like becoming an adult, taking responsibility means that you have to set boundaries on yourself, but you really have more freedom when you set more boundaries. And it's the same thing with home dialysis. The responsibility that you take for yourself, you get more freedom. You get more freedom and you feel better about yourself. All right. And I would encourage anybody who is even thinking about it to consider that. And if you're thinking that you're just going to wait on a clinical dialysis for a transplant, the doctors who give transplants and approve them, they want to see that you will have an active life when they give you this transplant. And there is no better way to prove to them that you will have an active life than home dialysis. They see that, hey, they're taking responsibility, they're responsible, they're active, they're involved with life. Oh yeah, let's try to push them up to the top of the list. It's a great way. It's a great way to show how much you care about living and care about your life. All right? The responsibility level is invaluable. Listen, home dialysis isn't for everyone, all right? If you're of a certain age, or if the fear is too overwhelming, if you really just don't feel that safe, it's okay. All right, I understand that. For 3 years, I said no to home dialysis. And, one, I didn't really have the education on it I was supposed to have had. I didn't have another patient to come and talk to me about it, which is why I'm talking to you about it right now, because I am a home dialysis patient. It's my machine right here. This is my setup. This is my calendar. These are my sheets right here for my vitals. All right, so it takes effort, to get into home dialysis. You don't have to be like some person with a bachelor's degree and a degree in mathematics or something like that. It takes effort, and it takes a will to want to get in there and to try it over and over again. Like I said, repetition is the key to learning anything and everything, and it doesn't change with home dialysis. Talk to your doctor, see if you qualify for the program. I encourage you to really take all this to heart. A lot of times, the only thing stopping ourselves from being great is usually us. So, hey, if this video helped you out, I'd appreciate you subscribe. We're trying to get more content for you. Make sure you like this video. If you have any questions, send it to my email address and I will get back to you. Have a good day.